Okay, hello everybody. We're going to start on density, and as you can see, this cylinder, it's a heterogeneous mixture, and you have different liquids separated in here, and the reason they're separated is because of its density. Now, your formula that you need is density equals mass divided by volume. And I'm going to show you a shortcut to that. You're going to have mass, density, and volume. So now this little triangle kind of helps you out. If I'm looking for density, cover the D with your fingers, and what's left is the mass divided by volume. Okay? Now you can do this with any three formula with three different units. So now if I'm looking for mass, you're going to cover the mass with your fingers, and what's left is density times volume. Okay? Now, if I'm looking for volume, now what are some of the units for volume? Remember that volume can be liters, it can be milliliters. If you're looking for volume, you're going to cover the V with your fingers, and your formula is going to be mass divided by density. Okay, now how are you going to identify what is what? Well, remember that your unit is what tells you what you have. So mass can be grams, it can be kilograms, you can have pounds. Most of the time you're going to use it in grams for this particular thing. The stylus is not working. Okay, now for density, you have to have two units. You can have grams over milliliters. You can have grams over centimeters cubed. Now, I always get the question asked, ma'am, why does it have to be cubed? Okay, because to get volume, centimeters by itself is length. So to get volume, you have to do centimeters times centimeters times centimeters. So if any problem, they give you something like, let's say 2 centimeters. Then you'd have to do 2 centimeters times 2 centimeters times 2 centimeters. This would give you your centimeters cubed. So now how do you do that? You do 2 times 2, that gives you 4. 4 times 2 gives you 8. So 8 would be your volume there, centimeters cubed. Now remember, when you're doing these problems, you always have to show your work. So you have to include the unit as well. Okay, for volume, you can have liters, you can have milliliters, you can have centimeters cubed. All of those units are volume. Now it's going to be important for you to know the units, so you might want to write them down somewhere. That pound didn't come out correctly. Okay, using a new stylus, be a little patient. Okay, all right, let's go to the next frame. This is also going to be in your INV notebook. Oh, for crying out loud, the stylus. Okay, in your INV notebook, it's going to be page 14. It's going to be after that activity we did last week. Okay, let's go to the next frame. So now, when you have a problem, you can use this little shortcut to help you out. But look at what they're giving you. That's your first objective. So here, let's do problem 1. They're giving 2,270 centimeters cubed. I'm going to identify that as my volume, because that centimeters cubed is a volume unit. Okay? Then my next number is 454 grams. Because it's grams, that tells me that that's my mass. So now in the question, it's asking what is density. I always write all over the problem. You can circle it or put a question mark on it or just label it. And this tells you exactly what you're looking for. So now if I'm looking for density, I'm going to cover the D So what's my formula? If I'm looking for density, it's mass divided by volume. Okay, very good. All right, so now you're going to take the mass, which they're giving you 454 grams. So 454 grams divided by 2,270. Let me try the other times. Hold on. Okay, now if you clear your calculator, 454 divided by 2,270 is going to give you 0.2 grams per centimeters cubed. Now, why do I have 2 units? Because you have density, and the mass goes on top, so you have to have that unit, and then the centimeters cubed. The units are part of your answer, so make sure that you have that down as well. Okay? Alright, so now let's look at number 2. And let's do a second example. Here they're giving you 0.6 grams per centimeters cubed. I have 2 units, so that tells me that that's my density. Okay. Okay. Now, I also have, there we go, 1.2 centimeters cubed. That's my volume. Okay, and it's asking for mass. So I'm looking for the mass. So remember, you're going to cover the M on your shortcut. So that means what's left over is density times volume. Okay, and that's how you're going to find your answer. Okay. So now, density is the 0.6 or 0.6 grams per centimeters cubed. Okay, and then times your volume, which is 1.2. We can also do times in parentheses. And that decimal should be down here. So now that's 1.2 centimeters cubed. Now that's my volume. So because I have 2 centimeters cubed, that cancels out. And my answer is going to get out your calculator, make sure that it's cleared. So now you're going to do 0.6 times my 1.2. This is going to give you your mass of 0.72 grams. And this is your answer. Don't forget the unit. You must have the grams. Okay? Now, if you have any questions so far, you're going to stop the video and you're going to ask me. Okay? Okay. Let's go ahead and go to the next one. Let's do number 4. You have a block. They're looking for the mass. And the mass, is this not illustrated below? Here we go. Oh, they're not telling you what the density is. Okay, look at number 4. We're not going to be able to do that problem because the worksheet got cut off. But to find the volume here for this particular block, you have 2 centimeters times 10 centimeters times 5 centimeters. This would give you your centimeters cubed. So that means that you would have to do your 2 times 10, which is 20, times 5, which gives you 100 centimeters cubed. This would be your volume. Okay. All right, so then let's go ahead and go to the other one that's on top, since the bottom one is incomplete. Okay. Let's go to number 3. Now here they're giving you 800 grams, and they're giving you a density of 8 grams per centimeters cubed. So they're looking for volume. This means that you're going to take that V that's in your shortcut, and let's move this down a little bit. You're going to cover the V this time. So by covering the V, this means that my formula is going to be mass divided by density. Okay, and this stylus again is acting out. Okay, so now what's my mass? What's my number there? It's the 800 grams. So you're going to have 800 grams on top. And now what's the density? I can't see that. Okay, it's 8 grams. Per centimeter cubed. So just like the problem above, do we have a unit repeating? Yes, we have the grams and the grams. So what's going to be left is the centimeter cubed. That's going to give us our volume, the centimeter cubed. Okay, so you're going to clear your calculator, take 800 divided by 8 equals, that's 100. And that's going to be 100 centimeters cubed. This would be your volume. Okay, are you feeling good about it? Okay, let's go ahead and sheet that you're going to use today. You have different squares on top as examples. You remember that you must show work. If you do not show the work, you get no credit. Let me say that one more time. If you do not show the work or the units and the whole process, you do not get credit for that problem. Okay? Alright, so let's do number 1. They're giving you milliliters, so this would be volume. They're also giving you grams, so this would be your mass. So what are they looking for? They're looking for the density. Okay, now what's my formula for density? Remember, you're going to cover the D, so what's left is mass divided by volume. That's my density. Okay, so now let's go ahead and plug in. My mass is the 40.5 grams. Okay. My volume is the 15 milliliters. 15 or 15.0, same thing. Okay, now remember that because it's density, you're going to have 2 units in your answer. So it's going to be grams per milliliter. And that should be right here. Okay, you can see that it didn't write down. Okay, so now take the 40.5, you're going to divide by 15, and you have 2.7. Now normally what I look for is the correct significant figures, and here your least amount significant figures are 2. But most of the time, as long as you have one number after the decimal, that's okay, unless it's a really small number. And this is good. Okay? So your answer there for number 1 is 2.7 grams per milliliter. And that's it. Go ahead and do the worksheet. Make sure you show work on both sides. Make sure you write your name on top of the paper. And let's go ahead and turn it in. I'm noticing something on number 2. Let's go ahead and move that up. Let me give you a little bonus. If you show me this drawing, I'll go ahead and give you a stamp for extra credit when you show it drawn for me, okay? when you have a cylinder, and we're going to do a lab like this, either this week or next week, and the cylinder has 22.5 milliliters, or not, it's actually saying it's holding 22.5 milliliters. Okay, never mind. If you have a cylinder, and it says that it already has 10 milliliters, let's say, of water, okay, and somehow water's in there, okay, and you're measuring a metal, you're going to actually put the metal inside, and the stylus is just crazy. Okay, the metal goes inside the cylinder. Okay, now you're going to slide it in carefully because you don't want to break the glass if it's a glass cylinder. Okay, this is called displacement. Whatever rises, whatever the number is, if the water rises to 15 milliliters, that means that once you put the metal block in there and it rose, 15 minus 10, it rose actually 5 milliliters. 5 milliliters is your volume. Now this is just an example. You show this to me and I'll give you a bonus. Okay? Alright, let me know if you have any questions.